Absolutely.
And so the incentives are to maximize billable hours. Mm-hmm. If you spend less time on a project, then how do you collect more money for it, right? Like, so if you automate processes within your company, aren't you eating into your own pockets?
Right.
I'm asking you.
The way that today we charge for work is that case. Yes, correct. Yeah. However, there's an issue that we're going to get to see here in a few years. It's coming. I know it based on data, by the way. So we don't have as many civil engineers going into the industry, as many as we will need, as many as the industry will grow. So as we cut down on production time, I think it's just going to work itself out because we just do not have as many civil engineers going into the industry. Yeah. So whether you like it or not, you're just not going to be able to hire 10, 20 people like you used to per year, right? To keep your business growing. You're going to be able to grow now with your existing 20 or 30 employees and be able to hire 1 or 2 more as you go. And they're going to get to learn different set of skills, which is more not necessarily doing the repetition work and more doing the checking and balance and being an engineer, what you learned in school, right?
Yes.
So I think regardless, so no, I don't think the industry will end up eating it in its own pocket. And the way I can also justify this is by looking at a principal engineer's billing hours or a senior engineer billing hours. They bill at a much higher rate. Yes, because they have much more experience, but the other reason they do that is because they cannot work as many hours as an engineer in training, billable hours as an engineer in training. Mm-hmm. An engineer in training will probably do 8-10 hours a day of billable hours, but a senior engineer or a principal engineer will probably maybe do 3 or 4 a day because half their day is eaten up by tasks that we can automate for them probably. And some of it is like, oh, how much do I charge for this project? How many sheets is it going to be? You can probably plug all of this in like this once you've collected that data because you've automated a lot of the business.
So the irony is that if you automate the business, you get more billable hours for engineers. I mean, there's an angle, right? I think another angle is, do you think we're going to see more engineering firms charging for deliverables and charging for final products and for permits rather than by the hour? Because if you set a flat fee, you lean into automation, mm-hmm. you increase productivity, then and you're good at estimating what the time the project will take, you can offer a final rate for the client and a cheaper rate than other engineering firms. Does that make sense? Do you think that's the way it could go?
Absolutely. Because, I mean, think about it from a sales perspective, right? You don't pay, generally speaking, you do not pay salespeople based on how many hours they spent at the business. You pay them based on how many they've sold, how many things they've sold.
When I go to the car dealership, I don't pay for the amount of hours that they spent building the car. Exactly. I just go buy the car. I mean, this is how products work. I just think it's the way that it should go. We pay for things, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's going to be the same thing. You charge your client for a deliverable. You don't charge your client for how many hours you spent working on something. And this will incentivize businesses to get more done. Yeah. That's it. I mean, ultimately, look, every business, I think on average, every person probably does not work for 4 hours a day. And the reason I say this is because you get distracted. It's just a human nature. Yeah. Right? But now you incentivize it a different way, and now people think about it differently.
Also, I mean, today, like regardless of the engineer shortage, if there was a firm that wanted to start offering these kind of package and they believed in their ability to do things quickly, mm-hmm. then they could take more money off the table. They charge the client less, they take half the time to do things, right. and they output 2 times the work that they would have otherwise.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's like splitting the savings between the client to outperform other businesses and your own profits to incentivize yourself to do things quicker.
Of course.
It's really interesting.